Alright friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kristen and this is Growing Zone 9B. So as always, I just got off of work. We're picking some peppers and I wanted to bring the camera out. You might hear some noise in the background because it's very sad to me. It's very sad. My neighbors cut down the beautiful oak tree that was over there. And so unfortunately, we've lost a lot of shade. And so that's just terrible because that tree was so beautiful. It brought such good shade to us. They said they had to cut it out because the middle of it was rotten. I don't know, not my tree, so I just feel sad that it's gone. So like I said, we are into peppers. Right now the peppers are still coming in. It's very dry out here. We keep watering, but we haven't had rain in a little while. The peppers are starting to come in. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? All right, so we need to start taking these out. So I just clip them, drop them in the basket. These are chili peppers. And I definitely, you know, these are cut by hand. I don't eat a lot of chili peppers, but what we do is we can dry them, and that's what I'm going to be doing with these peppers, is actually drying them. It looks like something tried to bite into that one. They probably got a nice little heat for making that choice, right? But nonetheless, beautiful, beautiful peppers. That's what we like to see. And so that is on our agenda for today, is to cut these peppers and get them put up. Now, I don't grow a lot of hot peppers because y'all know I don't like the heat. But my brother likes the heat. And that's what's important, is to make sure the boys and my brother get what they want. And like I said, you can just dry this. What I'll end up doing is stick it in the dehydrator. And then I just make it into powder. Ooh, look. Look at that. There's a worm. Miss Tiffany's out here with us today. Sweet girl, what are you doing? You're so cute, Miss Tiff. You my big girl? Yeah, you're sweet little thing. She's a sweet girl. All right, so our peppers are cut. And I just saw some love bugs over here on my dill. It is love bug season for us. They'll get on your vehicles and tear your vehicles up, that's for sure. Leave nasty junk all over the car, and you always got to be taking it through the car wash. That's one of the reasons why I honestly have a subscription to the car wash. It's so hot, so humid. Oh goodness. There's my squash. It is just loaded in powdery mildew. That is never what you want to see, but welcome to Florida. If you're gonna be growing, this is what's gonna happen. So let's see what else we got. Oh my gosh. All right, friends. So it looks like we've got bugs getting into our squash. No one should be shocked by this in Florida. Oh no. Look. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take this squash out. Oh, that's awful. Look at it. They got all into it. Depending on how bad it is, I don't know yet until we kind of get into it. But what I'll end up doing is I soak these in water, usually overnight. And if there's worms in there, the worms will come out. It might be too far gone. I don't know. We'll have to see. So far we've gotten some peppers. We've gotten peppers, and we've got this sad zucchini. Yep, all the zucchinis are eaten up by worms already. Short season for me. All right, but what we do have, oh, they're looking sad too. Look how hot it is. Today the temperature felt like 106 degrees here. Look at that. These are long beans. So we will go ahead and start taking some of these long beans out. Plenty of long beans. We can pickle these. I've been watering over here, but you know, Look, already getting some beautiful long beans. The fall is really the ideal time to be growing here in Florida. More long beans. All right, so the rest of these beans, yeah, there's some more over here. So let's go over here and cut those. Yeah, it's not a bad basket. Still got some crazy cabbages going on. All right, so there wasn't much to harvest today. So, you know, that's just kind of how it is here in the summer. It's been super, super hot. Like just mind-blowingly hot. Like literally when you walk outside, you honestly feel like you're being microwaved. We are still getting in some tomatoes. I've been definitely picking quite a bit of tomatoes still. And right now I've got the water sprinkler on my cucumbers and the key limes, because the key limes need the water. That's why I said it's been so super dry here and so hot. We're actually under like a fire advisory, because a burn advisory, because like don't burn ban, because it's so hot here. And basically the garden has just kind of done what it wants to do. Now, a lot of people will talk about during the summer that you can absolutely grow like cowpeas and okra and stuff. My okra, I planted some more okra and the okra just died. I do not know what's going on with our okra this year or what's going on with the weather down here, but it's been just incredibly hot. And this has just been, the last couple of summers have just been really strange for us. I think that they've been probably some of the toughest growing years that I've ever seen. And of course I have a YouTube channel, so you know, it looks like, oh sure lady, like you really know what you're doing. Like it's been really weird, and like all my friends are talking about it too. So I mean, I think it's just a sign of the times. So if I'm struggling, you know, I just wonder how the rest of the country is actually doing, because we're in some tough times, man. Like that's why I say you gotta know how to grow. But you definitely need some shade around here during this time of year. Our lake is so disgusting right now. I'm gonna take you guys out there. It looks like the lake has like a desert dusk pumpkin over the top of it. It's not, it's algae that has formed all over the top of the lake. It's absolutely disgusting. We've been trying to take like the boat out. We definitely can't take the jet ski out. The jet ski is sucking in too many weeds. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see it, but like right here, it looks kind of brown. That is actually just weeds and gunk and just craziness growing all over the lake. It's disgusting. People have not really been on the lake. You can see that our water table is definitely dropping. It is here, like Florida's beautiful until it's not. And that's really like, people don't really think about that. Like they just see it as like, you know, just this beautiful paradise. But when those hurricanes and storms come through, it is absolutely nuts. But you can see over here, like the big oak tree was definitely cut down. It's a massive tree. It's really sad, but it happened. So the tree was cut down. So rest in peace. Beautiful tree. There it is. It's massive. It was a massive tree. Yeah. Make for some good firewood. That's for sure. Not that we need fire here right now, but you know, if you needed firewood. But it could also make really good mulch. I talked to my neighbors about if they were gonna mulch it, and the people were just taking it off and taking it to our incinerator, I guess. But I was like, hey, if they're gonna mulch, just drop the mulch in our yard. And that's the things that you have to think about, is just to have connection with your neighbors and stuff, so that way, if stuff like that happens, then, you know, and they were gonna mulch and they didn't know what to do with the mulch, they could have just dumped the mulch right here, because that just brings nutrients back into the earth. And that's really what we need, is we need that good nutrients brought back to us. But you know, they weren't doing that, so it'll be all right. You know, it is what it is. So, and it wasn't my tree. Otherwise I would have definitely mulched it and just told them just to chop and drop literally for that. But you know, it's sad, but that's life. You know, you don't want a big tree like that falling on someone's house. And that's what they had said, is They didn't want that tree coming down in another storm or something that could come up. They had a couple of trees that had dropped. If you guys look back on my videos, you'll see that. And I totally get that. Like, you don't want to be scared and thinking that. I always worry about this big old monster here. This is a massive tree that I have talked to my fiance about repeatedly. We don't want to lose that tree, but at the same time, it's so big and so close to the house. I really wish he could just like cut it in half, honestly, and then just kind of leave the lower branches for shading. But I don't know. I just pray about that tree every year. I'm just like, oh Lord, don't let that tree fall on the house, man. Like, because you just never know. At some point, honestly though, that tree's gonna have to come out. That's just the reality of it, because it's just an older tree, and you just can't risk an older tree being that close to your house and potentially taking out your house, because that's scary. I didn't take you guys to see the sunflower. I have this beautiful sunflower. So if that's all you plant is like sunflowers, then, you know, grow sunflowers. Like, do something that makes you happy. It's not always about just like what to eat. I got to get the water hose over here and start spraying in here. But this, like I said, this cloth has done really well for shade over here. And it's been really, you know, doing good. Oh yeah, all these, the tomato plants just falling out of the grow box here. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? The sunflower is like way back here. I'll take you real quick, but that's what I said. Sometimes that's all you got to do is just grow something beautiful and bring yourself some happiness. So there it is, our sunflower. I should probably get a few more out there in the garden, but all right, friends, I got to head in the house. Like I said, I got to make some dinner. I got clients. I'm in a rush, but I was thinking about you guys. So until next time, love one another, be kind. I'm going to see you guys real soon. Right, so your bonus, not bonus, so that squash, that zucchini that I had that I was like, oh yeah, I'll just soak it in water and get the worms out. Oh, I got the worms out, all right. There were 16 worms that came out of that zucchini. No, friends, that's going to the compost pile. Like, you know, you get one worm or whatever, I'll cut around that little bad piece or whatever. No, not 16. That's disgusting. That's what I'm talking about here in Florida. You are gonna have pest problems. You're gonna have worms. Worms get into your cucumbers, worms get into your cabbage, they get into so much stuff, and I don't treat it with anything. Like, I try to keep neem oil and stuff around, but my fiance actually like doesn't like the smell of neem oil when I do it. And I used to do African marigolds, and he would literally have the worst like sneezing and panic, like just like couldn't breathe, couldn't catch his breath. And those marigolds are like really intense. So I quit growing those. So yeah, I think the summers are just really hard here. That's a fact. But you know what, before you know it, we will be back in our fall growing, and everything is going to be great. We're just going to try to produce and do more in the fall, especially with those covers that we have now. And I have the cucumbers covered up, and they're getting some water right now. So they started getting some powdery mildew on them. But yeah, for now, you know, it is what it is. So we just take it day by day, grow what we can grow, and, you know, preserve what we can preserve. And like I said, it's just gotten so hot here that it's unbelievable. And I am really worried now that that tree's come out, like how much hotter it's gonna get. I can already tell you that the yard looks so weird without having that shade, because my plants would end up catching that afternoon shade. So I don't know if my fiance wants to try to plant something back so that we can try to like cover at least the garden area or what, but we're gonna have to talk about it, because it's just like I say, it's like subdivision housing at this point, like where there's no trees and no, I mean, I'm not gonna say there's no trees, but there's just not that big beautiful shade tree, and it just looks so awkward. And I know my plants are really gonna struggle from it, because that's the afternoon sun comes and catches the back end of this garden, and that's when it's like the hottest. And I'm really concerned that it's gonna just be too hot. But we'll, you know, like I said, it's not my tree, so I didn't really have much say so in what needed to be done or not done. But we'll just do what we can do and pray for the best. And take it from there, right? We might have to start transitioning to some growing in the front yard so that way it catches morning sun instead of afternoon sun. But then that would mean we have to put like a big fence up in the front yard because we don't want, you know, the people from the street to be seeing the garden and stuff, because that's not gonna work out either. So I don't know, we're gonna have to come up with a plan though, that's for sure. But that's life, right? When you don't have a piece of farm property, you gotta just do what you can and grow where you can grow. So all right friends, I will see you guys real soon.